Alright, out in the shop today I got to do some 411 hubs. My buddy Dave, A100 Addict, suggested that since I got the roll of craft paper, he said, yeah, it's great for putting down on benches and stuff like that and making the mess on that. I was like, oh shit, that's a great idea. So this is P411, PL411s. His name's Dave as well, I think. Anyway, these are his hubs. They're 411 hubs. He's already got them marked passenger side and driver's side. It's already cleaned all the grease out, stuff like that. So basically, what I need to do is, what I'm going to be doing here for the next hour or so, is these are the new vented rotors. These are from a G20 Acura Integra G20, something like that. And a lot of this stuff is already in pictures and on threads and stuff like that. Basically what it is these hubs were originally hub-centric to the outside edge of here. Okay, and so there's not really any machined surface in here. Okay, if I actually try to clean that up there and zoom in on that, which I just might, there's no registration. The machined surface actually ends right there, about 1/8 of an inch from the rest of it. So in order to keep them hub centric, you can see they don't fit in there, and so they easily fit in the backside. Tons of room there, but they're too big, so they can't be hub centric to the outside like that. So I need to go down in the rotor there. Since there isn't anything machined here to register, I have to machine the hubs down and get a shoulder there to register too. Well, I went ahead and wired and brushed it off, and apparently it is machined up the lip there. That lip I was looking at right here, that's where the other rotor stopped. So it didn't register to the hub anyway, but it is machined up in here. So let's see, where's the one I did? There we go. So you can see that is this is a machined surface here, and the hub registered to that more than it registered to here. It never actually even made it to there. The challenge is, let me zoom this back out a bit. Wrong way, dumbass. Okay. So here we go. I got this set to that diameter. Well, then I set these to match the inside there. And what's going to happen here is if I were to cut that hole to match, which is what I did before, it leaves it to where it's still not going to touch the rotors, because this shelf right here, I can't round that off. I can't get that to register with the hub. So, you know, there's still going to be a bit of a bevel down here, but so let's do this. I'm going to be cutting down to right about there. Let me adjust these. Okay. So if you can see that, I may not have to do the rotors much at all. Yeah, I'm not going to have to actually. Okay. Because by the time I get that surface cleaned up on the rotor, on the hub, should be able to clear here. So I will cut a 45-degree bevel on the bottom here to keep it as thick as possible. That'll match the bevel on here. And so I needed the rotors to measure off of. I didn't actually need them. I don't need to open them up. So what that does is that makes it so that when the customer has to change rotors at some point down the road, he can just buy off-the-shelf rotors and put them on. So it solves a couple of issues there. So I decided, I've already done the other one first, but I figured I'd show the bearing here. Basically, I'm just going to pound the bearing race out of here, because I'm going to chuck it into the lathe differently and not use the spindle thing. So I'm using a brass drift because I don't know for sure if the owner is going to replace these bearings or not. So, and it just so happens I have this nice chunk of steel here that happens to be just the right size. Alright, that way he can reuse those if he wants. So I'll clean this up with a little brake cleaner and rag, and then go chuck it up and align it in the lathe and turn this one. So that's try to get a little bit more accuracy. Having it at an angle takes away some of the accuracy anyway, but I'm going to ride on the bearing race now and see where it goes to. That's pushed in further, that's further away, so I know you can't see the dial indicator, but it went from swinging about 15 or 20 to about 3. Ooh, that's nice. That's not even a half thou of deflection there. So I'm going to make sure that's plenty tight. Okay. Oh yeah, it's still spinning dead on. Perfect. Alright, so hopefully I don't take a cut so heavy that it knocks it off. I just want to double check what that bevel is so I can make sure the lathe's set right. I'm pretty sure it's 45, so I'm going to use this angle finding set. And I've got the 45 out rather than go through a bunch. Let's just see if the 45 is it. Oh! Yeah. It's really close. Close enough. Because I don't plan on it really riding on there anyway. I just need it for clearance, but I want to leave as much meat on the hub as I can. That's why I'm going to bevel it instead of cutting a right angle in it. Well, I can't get a good angle on the cutting there, so I'm going to I'll just put it there, and you can watch the bevel being cut. So. Let's do a little test fit and see how that lines up there. Alright, I thought you might like to see, look at the bearing race in there. It's nice and smooth. It's basically perfect. It's within the half thousandths. But look how bad the casting itself is bumping. You know? That's just ugly. Alright, got both the hubs done. This is the last hub. This was the one that was so out of sorts. Okay, and you can see that. You know, it's all taken care of now. So the thing is since the registration point wraps around more than half, and there's still just a little right in there, it still registers okay. So, and the point of the registration isn't to handle the load when you're driving. Okay, that's what the lug bolts are for. So it's to keep it centered when you bolt it down. Once you bolt it down and the rim is torqued to specs and stuff like that on the studs, all the clamping force is between, you know, the rim and the rotor and the rotor and the hub. It's the friction of those mating surfaces, not the that keeps it from moving around and bouncing when it hits a bump and stuff like that. It's not the lugs and it's not the hub. At least it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the friction, the mating surface. That's the point of torquing them down. So you can just see that one too. It's same thing. So you know, but it got it was a little closer on the casting. I'm down to the last few items with these 411 hubs and brake rotors. Everything's machined and everything like that. Good to go. But I did. I talked to the owner yesterday, and he is going to reuse the bearings. So I've had this bearing race and seal driver forever. It's just a performance tool, W83020. I've shown it in other videos and that stuff, so I'm not going to take a great deal of time here. That one's a little too small. There we go. That one seems a little big, but if it gets this one wants to stay off to the side, and it'll end up damaging my driver too much. So so you can use it for driving seals too. You just put it in this way, and then you got a big flat surface to put a seal in. I'm not going to be putting any seals in, so we'll put it in this way. Drop it down in the race. Try to get it started fairly close to square. Okay, now this is just a hair too big. I'm going to have to go to the smaller one because it won't go down inside the hub. So, but since this is aluminum, didn't make any marks. You can see the mark on here where it hit the top of the bearing race. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in like a seal driver. Now that that's in far enough to and I'll just try to get it close to center here. Oh, you hear that difference there in that last hit? Much more solid until it's bottomed out then. So I'll take a quick peek here too, and want to make sure that looks like it's all nice and seated, and it is. I don't have to do anything with the other bearing. So actually yeah, I was looking at the wrong race. Okay, yeah, so it's in all the way nice and solid. I thought, man, where did all the grease come from? Well, it's left over. I was looking at the wrong race. So that's the driver's side. I did keep the I kept all the bearings and the lug nuts, lug studs and wheel studs and that kind of stuff all separate, side to side. So that way passenger side gets the passenger side stuff back in. And with the bearings, especially since he's putting the used ones back in, that is rather important to make sure that that outer race matches back up with the bearing that it had originally. Now, you know, I'd prefer almost to just go on the lathe there and cut that outer lip down just a little bit, but I don't really feel like taking the time to do that right now, and inevitably I want that metal back on there later, so. Yeah, you can hear the difference in the last three hits there. There's kind of a, it's a thud and then it becomes a thunk, you know, it becomes a much harder, more pronounced solid hit. Alright, that's all the way down into, so perfect. And so with that being aluminum and these being hardened races, you don't even see any kind of scuffing or marks or anything from this. So that's it for that. Now to go press the wheel studs back in and should be done. Okay, before I put the wheel studs back in, the shelf's got quite a bit of dirt on it here. And it's clean where the stud goes, but I still want to go ahead and get the rest of that out of there, because some of it's kind of thick. I don't want any of that falling down into the spot. I just don't want to have to worry about it, so. Doesn't take much, and I don't need to get it perfectly all shiny and everything. I'm basically just looking to get the heavy stuff out of the way. There we go. So as I'm looking at the studs, there's basically some crap under the thing there too. Now I'm not going to wire wheel these very hard or heavy at all, but I do want to kind of catch some of that garbage up underneath the bottom there. So that'll only take another second. There we go. These lug bolts, studs, whatever, have wheel studs have you know, a flat spot on them. Okay, that way they register in here. So I got to make sure that I'm really friggin' close there with them lined up before I start pressing them down in. They might twist a tiny bit, but this press would push hard enough to damage them if I had them off too much. So now I got to have it slightly off center. I want to get full support under there, but I don't really. Let me run the first one in, and we'll see where the head hits. Okay. The head is just a tiny bit. The head's basically at the same height as that shelf there, so I want to make sure that I don't have the edge of my ram hanging over the edge there, or I might end up putting pressure on the hub itself.